But this is where you have to start thinking about like an engineer as well, which is then ask the questions around the implications of that.
Yeah.
So where my brain goes when you start saying that is, okay, does our water supply network have the capacity to handle that?
Yeah.
What does that mean for the rest of our system?
Yeah, for sure.
And it's the same when we start talking about renewables and disruptive technology. It's all great to say, let's all use batteries, but if we're all trying to charge our car at the same time overnight when there's no renewable source of power coming into the system, where are you generating the base load to run the car from?
Yeah, that's right. Because can you imagine like when the road does become pretty much all electric vehicles, most of that charging is going to go on at night time. And if it's from a lot of the people who haven't yet, the whole residential domestic storage of power hasn't really hit to a point yet where you could just work it off that. You would probably have to draw from the mains, and that's a great charge to draw at night time or in the evenings. So yeah, we'd have to consider that. When there's no solar, exactly.
Possibly no wind.
Yeah, and we'd have to be burning the fossil fuels to generate that energy.
And I think this is where actually engineering has a massive part to play in this whole discussion over sustainability, because that is very much more an engineering way of thinking, which is to say, okay, what are the implications of that decision? How do I mitigate that?
Sure. Yeah. What do we need to set up, or what do we need to do? Yeah. What structural processes do we have?
It's not as simple as just being a green warrior and strapping yourself to the top of a plane and saying that flying is bad.
Sure. Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Lots of things are bad or good.
Yeah.
But it just comes down to considering it from a whole system perspective.
Sure. And in engineering, that's the key, right? Is to look at that. Well, for a good engineering, at least anyway, is to be able to look at all facets of it and look at the chain as it goes through, not just the final outcome.
Yeah, I mean, look, fundamentally, the way you're taught in engineering is to consider things as a system, and then to consider the implications of each of those elements as they interact. So when we design structures, we consider multiple ways that a structure could fail and multiple forces that act on the structure, and then we try and make sure that those things don't come to pass in a negative fashion.
Sure.
We also work with what we call serviceability limits and ultimate limits. The idea being that you can go past your serviceability limit, but at least people don't die because they can safely get out of a building. And if you take that thought process, that way of thinking, and apply it to other problems like sustainability, it's really about saying to yourself, well, okay, what can we do on a day-to-day, and actually where is the ultimate line? What shouldn't we go across?
Yeah.
And how do we tackle this problem with many moving parts?
Yeah. Sure.
To make sure that we actually do get the right outcomes.
Yeah, very important. Yeah.
I'm also personally, again, not saying I'm an expert in this field, but I'm of the view that I don't think as a society we'll get out of the climate change that's occurring without intervention. I think we've already made an intervention, so surely an intervention the other way is potentially a good thing. I don't think it's going to be enough to just say, well, let's not burn fossil fuel. I think that would be too simplistic.
So what do you mean in regards to intervention?
Well, it's that whole contentious topic of geoengineering.
Right.
So do we start looking at using oceans as carbon sinks?
Yeah, right.
So, which I know...
From which most of the carbon comes from.
That's anyway, right. As oceans warm, they acidify, but they also release carbon store.
Yeah.
We could also equally go the other way and use interventions to absorb carbon back into oceans.
Sure, yeah.
And again, I'm not saying no other solutions here, but I'm just saying that when you look at this problem and you look at it from the outside with a sort of limited view of it, but you sort of look and you go, well, surely we can't just expect everything to reset if we just stop doing something.
Yeah,
Will that be enough?
Yeah, sure.
Will we get there fast enough?
Yeah.
Probably not, is my view. I reckon we'll end up needing to rely on some interventions, some other systems.
Yeah.